Marge, try to understand. There are two kinds of college students, jocks and nerds. As a jock, it is my duty to give nerds a hard time. Hey, pal, did you get a load of the nerd?
Pardon me?
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 386. It is the second day of the week, aka the special bean cannon workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But anyways, to the main subject matter for today. Most gym goers are fucking nerds. Now let me explain. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because I believe that I'm looking through all of the stuff that I've written down in my past notes, ideas for for videos and stuff. And one of the first things that's still up there is it's okay to be, nerdy about shit as long as you're jacked, then nobody gives a fuck, right? And it's interesting that that was like a thought I had back in the day, and now it just kind of confirms it with how many people are into the fitness realm and also are massive fucking nerds. So in today's episode, we're going to be looking at that in broader terms. We're going to be also looking at the people who are in nerds in the sense are into stuff like science and all that other stuff. Of course, we're going to get into that section, but we're also going to get into the section that looks into nerds that are into shit like this and all this other stuff, who's like a mega anime weeb nerd, or the other side of it where they're into like Warhammer and things like that. So it's an interesting crossover because I think a lot of this episode will probably be dispelling for a lot of gen pop who might be like, oh, these guys are ogres, or they might be into stuff that they don't know or realize or anything like that. But the crossover from fitness to other things that are, I wouldn't say necessarily niche, but they always kind of intersect with this realm. It's kind of interesting, I think. A lot of it is usually the animes, the mangas, the fantasy storytelling. A lot of that type of stuff enters this realm. So I think that it's a very interesting crossover, and that happens quite a bit. And I think that the fear-mongering and or the lunacy that people think, or the idiocy that people think that just because you're lifting weights, that's probably making you stupid or some asinine thing like that, it's just wrong. That's the thing. So we're going to be looking at that. Maybe we're also going to probably also be touching upon the philosophy thing, because that's a whole other subject, but we'll talk about it here because it is part of the nerd thing. So with that being said, though, I will see you at Mother Base. Alright, so started this day off with squats, which are pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Most gym goers are fucking nerds, and it's great. I'm part of it. But I'm not going to focus on me on this episode, although I am one. That is not the idea. But a lot of the time, many of the gym goer is a fucking nerd. And it's kind of funny because a lot of the time they are either into something like Lord of the Rings, Warhammer, gaming, anime, some type of thing that they're into. There is literally many a clothing brand that are popular nowadays in the gym scene that do crossovers with animes and such, and that is a huge fucking deal when a lot of people end up going and purchasing that, as well as comic book deals. Like I saw one recently of Batman. So it happens all the time. It's just an interesting thing to see. It's not necessarily like I'm shitting upon these people, as for I am one. Literally in my gym I have a giant Metal Gear Solid 5 flag as one of my posters that I have in the background. So obviously it's not like I'm immune to this, but it's more of an interesting idea or an interesting thing to look at, because I feel like a lot of people who end up from the outside looking in, that are those who are like, oh, these dumbass meatheads and all this other stuff, don't realize that a lot of people that are into the gym are also into other shit, which more likely than not is probably on the same par as many others. I bet, for example, many people are probably into Legos, but that isn't something that I have seen personally within the gym realm, but it probably does happen. It is an interesting thing to see, specifically because I think that there is a certain judgment from the outside that is not really known really from the inside. You know, there are people that are into the gym that are also super into philosophy and science. Hell, there's an entire corner of lifting that is based in science lifting, for the love of God, and those are fucking nerds, you know. And that's coming from a gym goer, you know. It's just one of those things, seeing it from the other side where you look out and you're like, wow, yeah, I am surrounded by a bunch of nerds, and that's all right. But it does make me wonder, or at least try to wonder, why it happens more often than not, where people who end up in other niche markets will come into this particular market and just start lifting while also still being into something. Like, I know that there are people out there that could probably give me the entire Warhammer 40k lore within a matter of moments if I give them, I don't know, like 8 hours, and they would be glad and willing to, or discussing all 3 Lord of the Rings books in depth with all of the different changes that happens in each individual editions. You know, these are people that are super mega autistic about certain things. And I think that at the end of the day, it's interesting that the autism spectrum, I think, kind of goes upon both sides here, where you kind of become autistic about certain things, and then all of a sudden the gym becomes an extra thing that you end up getting into your autism realm. But I do think that in popular culture, the idea of the jock being a dumbass has really perpetuated the idea that the gym heads or gym meatheads are just people that don't really care about anything else but the gym. And there are certain people that are like that. Obviously, they do happen regardless. But I think a lot of people are into other random stuff that I don't think people really realize, you know, that makes them really nerdy and kind of more of a well-rounded person. My favorite anecdote will always be when Mike Menser mentions reading a Nietzsche book on a day off. And it's always interesting because I'm like, wow, that is someone that is like super fucking much of a nerd, but also looked extremely jacked. So I can't even like mess with that. It's like the ultimate trump card to sit like as a now what type of thing. So if you happen to be a nerd and be in the fitness realm, please let me know what your random nerd thing that you're into is. And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercise is not filmed, none. Exercise skipped, also none. Got everything in. Thankfully, got to make this quick because it is late. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand. Most gym guys are fucking nerds. And so the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I think that there's a weird misconception that a lot of people who go to the gym are just like meatheads that don't really ever think, when in reality, a lot of these people are, you know, into certain things, one or another. They all have their autistic pursuits, whether it be sports or psychology or metaphysiology or videos or whatever else. And there may be anime, as discussed probably already multiple times, but they are into something as their train of thought that isn't just the gym. Now, for some, it is their only train of thought, but they take it beyond where others do. For example, when they get into like the science and they become a straight up doctor or whatever the fuck they wanted to call themselves. But that's kind of a different story for a different day. But anyways, I think that people that get into this realm have like a really weird like thing that they're also into on the side that is an interesting thing, because most of the time you wouldn't expect it. Most of the time you wouldn't expect these guys that are, you know, super muscular to be like like Warhammer 40k like lore that's like spans hundreds of books and all this other stuff. Or, you know, you're just talking to this one guy and then all of a sudden he drops a Nietzsche quote and you're like, what the fuck? You know, like, oh, okay, I guess is this type of person, right? But it's very much, I want to say it's a don't judge a book by its cover, because that's kind of a I've already made an episode about that in essence, I think right here, or if I haven't, I will eventually, but it's not about that. It's more of along the lines of, it's a very interesting just idea that a lot of these guys, and some women, but mostly guys, are just into something else completely different from this, that like is like, oh, what a nerd. But then it's like, all right, they are into it, but you're not going to really talk shit because they're obviously huge and jacked. It's just kind of interesting to see it happen, you know? A lot of people like to discredit many of the people who go to the gym because for some reason working on the body is something that is seen as vain, when in reality, it's probably one of the best things that you can possibly do. So, with that being said, tell me what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This was kind of random, but at the same time, something in the vein of this channel. Also been in the back burner for quite some time. So with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Please leave a comment down below about anything that you might have a story about this, or you know somebody who's super into something very autistic that's very interesting, that they also happen to be, you know, huge into the gym. So please let me know in the comment section down below. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy, stay safe out there, and stay cool, warm. It's warm now, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.